Let's get it.
Is the face in the misty light.
Kunta J literally was like, let's completely
Right, so
ignore everything that was said and then just talk about anti-Semitism instead because
yeah,
phrases were similar.
that's what I feel like we don't really disagree on anything. I feel like we really agree on everything. Like we see eye to eye. It's just that like I don't like. I know you probably hear things that like I can't speak for everyone else. Like Scorpio and Joanna, but I'm pretty sure they agree with like my analysis and whatnot, or I say our analysis, right? Because I'm not like that kind of person, right? So like, what our analysis is about like them being Eurocentric and about how things being catered to white identity politics or the white gaze. So to avoid the white gaze, like yeah, we do speak English. Yeah, English is the barometer of white supremacy because there's racism and everything from glasses to technology and all that. Like there's anti-blackness deeply embedded in everything. Like even in AAE, like AAE as a dialect or as its own language still do perpetuate anti-blackness, but it's further removed than Queen's English or standard Western Midwest English. You get what I'm saying? So like even though like and what I'd say that is like what CRT says. Like CRT talks about creating our own narrative, creating our own story, making up like basically our own language to define our experiences and to like like explain our oppression. So this is why I say like the Eurocentric left and not the white left. This is why I use words like the anti-black pipeline to talk about anti-blackness in the way I do and frame things in this manner because like the whole focus of what I'm saying is like to me it seemed like you were saying like like y'all like to me it kind of seemed as if he was playing into the trope that like like even like to me I understand that people could have read that and seen it as if for what they call us as anti-Semitic, but this is my whole argument, right? My whole argument isn't about what we said; it's about how Kunta J framed it. Because I'm an entertainer, right? I do entertainment, I do I do I do it all, rather it's this content shit, sex work shit, right? Rather it's me doing voguing and dancing and animating, and I do a little bit of all and everything with entertainment, right? So as an entertainer, I know with narratives, framing is important. Like it's like movies, like the way you frame a movie, the way you frame and you put things in place is very important with human beings as social creatures. So like for me to see Kunta J says Jews own the media, then he quote tweet J100 to bring it around to like, cause it ain't like he made that statement in a vacuum and he could easily just downplay and like, oh, I seen something else that made me tweet that. No, he tweeted that. Then after that, he brought in the context, like, yeah, this is what J100 said. So this is why I had the Twitch video. And with the Twitch video, you feel me? Like the Twitch video basically kind of illustrates like what I was saying in regards to like how what he did which was wrong, right? Like in the Twitch video, you literally like in the Twitch clip, you literally see me show like if there's two black people talking to each other and one of these black people sits there and literally says like blatantly, like openly, one of the black people, literally says like our media, right? It's like to me, it's like, if one of these black people is literally up here like, yeah, hold on, give me a second. Like if one of the black people is like talking to another black person and he literally is saying like, like, do you know the history of who owns our media, our music, our entertainment? You know what I mean? Like to me, I take that from context as two black people talking about how white Jewish, to be specific, white Jewish people own that media and that entertainment. And to make it even worse is if you click on that thread, That tweet that Kunta J quote tweeted was literally said after J100 already specified that he was talking about white Jewish people, right? So to me, it's all about how he framed it. Like, he framed it in a way to make it seem like it was anti-Semitic, and then like he didn't even bring that nuance of who was saying it and why he was saying it, right? Like, he don't like it. It's not like Kunta J was trying to debate the validity of white Jewish people owning our media, of white Jewish people owning the music, of white Jewish people perpetuating blackface and very in caricatures and through the WB. Like, it's not like Kunta J was trying to refute that. It's just that Kunta J seen Jewish people, white Jewish people. He's seen criticism of white Jewish people and focus on the Jewishness, which as a result of him focusing on that part of identity, it negates the blackness. And by negating the blackness, that's what makes it anti-black, because now you're dismissing black people's concern about their oppression to focus on a group that is higher than them, once you take an account of their intersectionality with whiteness, right? Because them being white Jews put them higher than us, and you can't look at it like white Jewish people is lower than black people, because there's black Jewish people who are being oppressed. So once you add in blackness, this puts us to the bottom. It's like what CRT said. Like, when you're trying to talk about redress and fixing things, you gotta look to the bottom and work off of the bottom. If what you're doing compounds oppression onto the bottom, then that's not the solution. That's not how you work things out. But what Kunta J did was he compounded more stress, more oppression onto the bottom. He brought more harm to J100 than helping in redressing what the issue was, and that's why we're saying he's performative. This is why he's fake. This is why like Kunta J don't know what he's talking about, because even off of CRT analysis of identity politics and intersectionality, like he's not utilizing it in a good fashion. He's not utilizing it in the right way. Like, in a way, it plays into like color blindness, because he's taking a very like, well, this is very wrong. This is very, this is very not what it is. This is not this is what's being talked about. Like, he's wrong because of X, Y, Z, A, B, D. You get what I'm saying? Like, it gives very much so that, and like, to me, it's like, I don't see it, because it's like, no, you're in the wrong, and you're in the wrong. Hold on, I'm showing shit that probably they can't even see right now. My bad, y'all, but I could link in the clip of the video. But
when I talked about in my tweet threads, basically all the same stuff without the like scenario, because I wasn't like fully aware of the scenario, but I feel like what happened basically was I recognized the behavior almost immediately before I heard about the actual situation, because when I made this Twitter thread, it was in defense of y'all, right? And I said, like, it's a friendly reminder that when talking about racial dynamics between different oppressed groups, you can easily play into bigoted language and parrot white supremacist talking points. Like, I probably could have worded it as in people can easily play you into bigoted language.
There was even more tweets that I made that basically discuss literally what Afro-Brazilian Jews go through in like their own Jewish community in Brazil. Like, the issue is that white Jews are not even a majority of Jewish people all around the world. They are a minority.
They are not.
Yet, when we discuss all these topics, everyone has centered the white Jew as the standard Jew, because apparently the idea of a Jew has to be a white person. It's inherently like anti-black as fuck. Like, this whole thing about the white Jew, which nobody wants to discuss, because like the Palestinian Jew is getting oppressed by the white Jew in Israel. The Asian Jew, like, nobody's talking about them. Nobody's talking about like how black Jews are literally getting given contraceptives by white Jews who call them monkeys. Like, all this is being ignored, and it's like, for some reason, this is like people have a Eurocentric lens on it, but they never look at through the lens of a black person who literally will write this stuff out online and discuss how like white Jewish people ask them like, oh, wait, who are you? And they'd be like, I'm a Jewish person. It was like, what, you are? Like, black people have to literally actually like validate their own existence to white Jewish people. Like, white Jewish people, some of them don't even realize that black Jews exist. The fact that this is never discussed, because we can't get to that like part, just shows that like many people are on the side of like all of our oppressors right now, protecting our oppressors.
Yeah, white solidarity. The whole situation is white solidarity.
The
That's
historical.
the phrase I use. The white solidarity phrase is what I
Mm-hmm.
use this whole situation.
Ironically, with the Holocaust happening and white Jews getting murdered by people in Germany, like the fact that that was emphasized and puts the minds of people as one of the worst tragedies ever, that is ironically one of the most weird things that people can discuss. Mainly because
Right,
black
definitely in
people have been
retrospect to the
discussing,
Congo.
because many black people have literally discussed how like we literally were enslaved for centuries, and for some
Yep.
reason the most fucked up tragedy was the Holocaust. Like black people feel like that's some disrespectful shit. Malcolm X talked about the same thing about how like y'all make us
Yeah,
cry
it was a
crocodile
clip in your YouTube
tears.
video, right?
Yeah, make us cry crocodile tears for you. But then when we take off a KKK mask, it's a white Jew. Like what the fuck? And then like for some reason, people will be like, "Oh, like no, you're the anti-Semite, you're the Nazi." And it's like, wait, how is a person pointing out the KKK, a white Jew being a KKK member, literally like it just makes no fucking sense.
Right.
Like
Because
you're
I think
You
talking
know
what
to
what
people
that
black
don't
you know
people.
what
talk
that
about.
plays? So there's this woman, Dr. Joy DeGruy Leary, and she had like a talk about post traumatic slave syndrome, and in her talk of post traumatic slave syndrome, she talked about definitions of like black racism and white racism, and how
Exactly.
white racism is not just like, I mean, y'all know, right? White racism isn't just like an action or an event. It's having prejudice and the power to do something with that prejudice, and that's what she reiterated to like a bunch of white people in the crowd while talking about how quote unquote black racism, where she was trying to refute black racism as its own thing, is not racism at all. It might be prejudice, it might be bigotry, but it is not racism. And it goes
Exactly.
in this situation as well. It goes into this situation as well. It's like what happened was not anti-Semitism, because black people don't have the power or any ability to be anti-Semitic towards white Jews. You can't do that. You have black people and other melanated groups do not have the social power to use their bigotry against white Jews in a
But you
way
know what's
that
ignored?
actually oppresses
You know
them.
what's like ignored in all of this? The talk the experience of black people who literally in the civil rights movement have literally worked with
Yep.
white Jews. And no one ever cares about what they've experienced or what they have to say. That just is ignored because we have to care about what the white Jews have to say. You know what Bond to be sharing a lot is like you prioritize white people. Like you like it's the pearl shit. It's the pearl shit. Like that's the perfect way to describe all this shit. Like you prioritize white people in this situation over the people that they literally have power over, because back in the
Yep.
civil rights movement, white Jews and black people literally worked together because white Jews understood that if we don't do something now, we're going to get hurt, because these people that are racist towards black people will also be racist towards us. So it's like what people didn't understand, what people didn't realize was that the white Jew, after they got what they want, they assimilated into
Look, don't
whiteness in
say say
America.
Jewish. Just put the issue in there, okay? Because I'm
Shit,
tired of the. I know we don't do respectability
it's
politics,
annoying.
but
It's annoying. Well,
it
okay,
is annoying.
white Jewish
Yeah,
people
just put the issue in there.
assimilated into whiteness and literally abandoned black people and opposed affirmative action and opposed policies that black people were trying to get to empower themselves. White Jewish people literally like started voting and supporting Republicans and started supporting more conservative policies. Like this is all here. And then like you had 200 plus black leaders get into a room one day because they saw white Jewish people was kicking them out of organizations and everything. And they start saying that like we're so sick of white Jewish people coming into shit when it's convenient and then abandon us when they don't need us anymore. Like people are ignoring
That
all
that
black people
that
here.
happens. That happens on every intersectionality of whiteness, though. You see it with white trans people. You see it with white gay people. You see it
Thank,
with
thank
And
you.
fucking
this this
Thank you. This is what we've been saying for days. That like when like or even as you were saying earlier, like when this first when we like when the stream first started, like with white Latinos and Gastano, like when Andre called Destiny to Gastano,
exactly.
no nothing went on bad empanada to debate the Gastano. He didn't understand identity politics. He didn't understand that white motherfucking Latinos exist, like Native Latinos and Black Latinos and all types of mixtures of Latinos exist. Like hell, even if we want to talk about Jewish people, like there's white Jewish Latino. I mean, yeah, there's white Jewish Latinos. There's white Black Latino. Like, cause like people don't understand. Like the world is very big than what people assume. And I think this is why I feel like CRT and white identity politics. Like to me, this only shows that CRT and and identity politics and intersectionality is very fucking important for Americans. Definitely coming out of this fucked up educational institution, because a lot of people don't even understand how like identity intersects. Definitely in a world where we're starting to increase our lexicon to explain different genders, different sexes, different relationships, right? For like the ace aromantic people out there. You get what I'm saying? Like we're increasing our identities, but we're not increasing the, like a lot of people are not adopting the analysis that takes account for that and how that participates in politics. Because if you're fighting for your identity,
the analysis of intersectionality, a lot of people don't understand intersectionality and how it plays into these power dynamics.
So you get people like, oh, this is not good for you because this plays into the oppression Olympics. And it's like, bro, I'm at the bottom of the fucking system. This is a caste system. I'm at the bottom as a black American. Bitch, there is an oppression Olympics. You're higher than me. You're privileged, you white. How can you acknowledge white privilege and then turn around and talk about the oppression Olympics? Bitch, if you realize you're privileged, that means you know you're winning the oppression Olympics. The fucking game is rigged. You know what I mean? It's like how you acknowledge that you got privilege and that...
And that's what happened. And that's what happened with all the drama on Twitter. They played Oppressive Olympics because y'all pointed out an issue and a problem in the historical thing, and then they decided to make it Oppression Olympics.
It started because Kunta J liked my shit, and I called Kunta J like, you only like my shit when it's basically like talking shit about white people. Get the fuck off my page. And then like Kunta J was like replying like chilling all this other shit. So like it really didn't start from like this conversation about white Jewish people and shit like that. It became about that because I pointed out that there are black people that are literally suffering and going through issues, and you guys are never there. You don't give a fuck about any of that. You guys are silent for all that shit. That's when reference J100. And then last when it became about the white Jewish shit. Because Kunta J was like, you're not making any sense and all that shit. He wasn't tweeting nothing and all that. But then J100 came out and talked about how white Jewish people own black media. And the thing is, like, anyone can Google this shit. Like, anyone can literally read into the origins of businesses and read into, like, the biographies of the people, the CEOs and shit like that. And nobody ever chooses to do that shit. And then, like, I literally saw a white Jewish person that supported Donald Trump who wanted to fucking blow up Iran. And then he died earlier this year. But then, like, his body, like, got buried in Israel. And I'm like, did no one understand how like, Donald Sterling literally owned the Los Angeles Clippers. I didn't know he was a white Jewish person until, like, I went back on his Wikipedia page and I went in his biography. I was like, actually, no, it's the video. Because he was telling his mixed girlfriend, like, his girlfriend was a black woman. She was mixed. Literally telling her that I don't want to follow no black people on, like, Instagram and shit like that. And then he was telling her that, you know, the difference between white Jews and black Jews. So I'm like, so the white Jew knows the difference between the white Jewish person and black Jewish person. So he knows the difference. So I'm like, wait, he's a white Jewish person?
Like, Scorpio, if you link the video when I could play it, that's the one with the dude who's saying the N-word and stuff to his girlfriend, right?
Maybe.
Alright.
Maybe. I can.
But yeah, in my Twitter thread,
I found that.
In my Twitter thread, I kind of pointed all this out.
But this stuff is happening to us. Like, this stuff is literally happening to us. Like, you got a white Jewish person that owned the whole NBA team, a team full of black people. And it's like, what is there that you're confused about? Like, the thing is that I always tell people, like, who do they give it to after, like, they get old and die? They give it to their family. Like, and I've seen, like, the thing is, it's not just white Jewish people in, like, Germany, but it's also, like, you know, it could be Poland, it can be, like, people in Ireland, it could be a lot of people all around Europe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when Irish people get called out for their racism against black people, and then they go like, oh well, we were oppressed. What about the potato famine or some stupid shit like that? And I'm like, bruh, what are you talking about?
And then, you know, but like the funny part about this is, like, people ain't gonna call us like you can't call us transphobic for criticizing an anti-black, like, white trans person. You cannot call us ableist. You can't call us ableist for criticizing a white disabled person. You can't call us, you know, like, misogynist for criticizing a white woman. You know what I mean? Like, you can't call us anti-Italian for criticizing the Italians. I feel like people would try. yeah, but you know what that shit? You know what I call that shit from my analysis? I call that white identity politics. That's literally white identity politics, because white people.
I call that white solidarity.
It's reverse racism, but being that this is, like, done with a marginalized group of people who get more visibility than most black folks with our oppression, a lot of people are going to take them over us, and they're going to dismiss it. And it's ironic because then you get people who make this argument like, well, there's black Jewish people that exist. It's like, well, what do you think our criticism is about? Our criticism is about how white Jewish people on a global level historically have taken part in whiteness and have oppressed us. Not all Jewish people, but specifically white European Jewish people. Like, yeah, and then people are like, well, white people don't see them like they're white, and it's like, we don't give a fuck how white supremacists. We don't acknowledge that analysis. Our analysis is that these are white European descendant settlers. These are people who have historically lived like that. And Ashkenazi Jews have historically lived in these regions.
Do white Christians look at white Muslims as white?
Exactly. Well, I mean, technically, legally speaking, yes. In America, legally speaking, yes. But technically speaking, no. No, they don't look at
exactly.
So like, what the fuck? Why are you playing this game?
Right, exactly. But this is why. The reason why is because it's all about branding. Like let's be real. Like due to like how the woke economy is set up now, right? Like due to, as like thought crimes would say, like the woke economy is set up. How even Seren talks about this. How people are profiting off of like people's oppression. So like you gotta assume the same for like other intersectional white marginalized identities. You see this with like the LGBT community, how everybody debating whether you should wear like nude shit to the Pride, and rather if cops should show up to Pride festivals, or even if Pride should be less consumer based and more political focused, right? Like you see these discussions with many different marginalized groups with white people, right? Like you see this all the time, where it's this discussion of like, well, should this happen and should that happen? Should we act like this? Should we not act like this? Should this occur? Should this not occur? So if you ask me, I feel like this is why I'm trusting Eurocentric left, is because like when it comes to doing analysis on intersectional, because wait until y'all find out about white women and how they engage in anti-blackness. But then again, y'all probably already know this because y'all know about They Were Her Property. Y'all probably heard about that book. Y'all probably understand undoubtedly how Karens get black men killed. Rather you're talking about Emmett Till, rather you're talking about all the other countless bodies of like black bodies that would never be accounted for in history. Will be accounted, but haven't been accounted currently in history, right? Like y'all understand that when it comes to white women, y'all understand it when it comes to other white intersectional identities, but like it's like what ProudCommulist is saying, or what we've been saying, like when it comes to white Latinos and white Jewish people, y'all stumble and fall. And it's like, I understand why y'all stumble and falling, because as white people, as Eurocentric people, y'all are not familiar with these concepts. But to people who are black and Latino, to people who know black Jewish people, we understand this shit because we talk and deal with these people. So in the same way white people say you should talk to black people, you should talk to black people to understand their perspective. Well, maybe y'all should start looking for like more intersectional black experiences. Maybe y'all should start hearing what black Jewish people have to say. Maybe y'all should start hearing what Afro-Latinas have to say if y'all don't understand the nuances of the Latina and Jewish identity. Because like y'all, I feel like a lot of people treat Jewishness as if it's a race when it's an ethnicity. Jewishness is not a race. Like that is a white supremacist like ideologue, and to subscribe to that, it to me is innately Eurocentric, and you playing into white identity politics because like it removes the nuances of race and ethnicity.
It's like the term Latino, exactly. A Latino is not a race.
Exactly. But niggas be like, well, Latina is a race. It's like, that's a slap in the face to all the history, like all of y'all history. Like y'all been through a lot down there. Like me and Scorpio just was talking this morning about how like him being a Jamaican American, him being Jamaican makes him a Latina too, because he comes down from that region. And he was talking about how like he was discussing that with his peoples, because it's like all of them down, all y'all in the Caribbean is technically classified as Latina, but you notice they only apply it to those who speak Spanish, and they don't apply it to everyone else. So this is why I think Hispanic exists, to encompass everyone down there who, like, to me, if you ask me, that shit is just, we need to get rid of those terms. But I know there's a lot of like power, like that, those brands, those names and brands are like here to stay, unfortunately. So it's like, fuck it, we're gonna rock it with it into.
And that plays into how I mentioned how English, especially here in the United States, the language in and of itself is racist. You cannot escape it, because literally the foundations of everything, of all of our phrases and how we speak about people and ourselves, is based off of racism.
Exactly. That's why, like, if you ask me,
you have to deconstruct it before you can engage in it.
I feel like it's like this. It's like, I feel like we need to make up our own new language. Like I feel like we need to make up our own new terms. Like we already have dialects. Like everyone speaks on the dialectic level different from the Francas that they come from. Whether it's the Spanish, speaking people, the English, French speaking people, we all speak. Rather it's rather it's patois, rather it's Creole, rather it's AAE, rather I don't know what like Afro Latina call their distinct ways of speaking Spanish, but we all know as African descended people, we do not speak the proper way of speaking. So it's like why hold ourselves back and hold on to the main language when we could just push that shit to the next level and just start redefining everything? Because to me, when I speak about shit, I don't speak on shit from a very proper way. And if I'm using proper definitions, you can kind of tell through the context, or I will convey that to let you know, like, no, I didn't mean like the I consider traditional. The traditional way of speaking, I'm talking about like the white way of understanding it. You know what I mean? Because to me, I know this might sound very opposite to people, but to me, tradition is where I come from. My people, African people, that's traditional to me. You know what I'm saying? But to everybody else, traditional is white people. And then to me, I feel like that mindset of having tradition being the normative as white people, that is kind of like what leads into this confusion of like definitions of language. Because even like the way people understand, like us as black people criticizing white Jewish people, when they automatically say, well, this is Nazi talking point. So you telling me there's been like a mass team up of like black Nazis? So you mean to tell me or when Vosh was talking about black Nazis and he was playing it to that, and it's like the fact that your analysis conflates us with black Nazis and what Nazis is like you're literally, it's like you're like, this isn't, it's to me, I look at it like this. It's like Marvel Universe, right? If you cannot come up with a good trail of how two superheroes can meet within this said universe, then you're doing the MCU, you're doing the MCU wrong, right? Like you're not gonna expect some superhero, like Marvel Universe is a huge universe. All of these superheroes intersect with one another, but some superheroes just might not meet with one another unless it's under very specific circumstances. You get what I'm saying? It's like the MCU. Make these crossovers not seem forced. Like make sure there's a lineage, make sure there's a history that show how these identities, how these characters intersect, right? Because like the way I look at it, because like low key, I don't tell, and I have to come forward about this now. I talked about it. Like I like watching MCU. I've been a big Marvel fan because to me, the MCU is my intersectionality, because to see superheroes all in one universe all kind of intersect with one another, it was fantastic to me. So when I found out about intersectionality, it's even more fantastic. Definitely seeing like the MCU winning as it is today. And I use critical race theory as a good way of understanding how characters are, how their stories play out, how they intersect with one another, how they meet with other. You know what I'm saying? I know this might sound weird, but it's not a fully developed theory. But I feel like CRT and intersectionality works well with the MCU, or just the Marvel Universe as a property altogether, because it's a large universe of different characters that intersect on different levels. And in the same way, that's how identity works. Identity is like different characters that intersect, and through those intersections comes history, legacies, comes documentable human experiences. Because like you could take two identities and on their own, these are very abstract ideas, but once you start overlaying them, it becomes something different. And it could be as minute as calling someone a female or a woman or a lady or a girl. You know what I mean? Because like some people don't want to be called a lady, some people don't want to be called a female, some people don't want to be called a woman. You know what I mean? So like, what you identify with really reflects your politics. And this is why I hate when people say, well, there's no practical usage of identity politics or intersectionality. And it's like, if you tell me where you from, what your job is, what's your class, it gives me insight of your class level, it gives me insight of your race and ethnicity. Like, I think people really don't like use critical thinking and deductive reasoning. Like, I'm like Sherlock Holmes over this bitch. It don't take that much information from you for me to be putting shit together and be like, okay, I know he probably think like this or talk like that. All right, I probably understand. Like, to me, I be reading people. It's like foreshadowing. Like, this is how I survive as a black queer trans person. Like, bitch, I have to read people to understand if you're hostile or not, or how receptive you would be to my ideas and beliefs. Otherwise, there's no need for me to try to converse with motherfuckers who going to actively argue with me or threaten and put my life into danger. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta be on top sometimes, so I gotta be able to be like, hold on, Like, all right, this is a cis hetero male bitch. Like, he say this, he talks about that, he hangs with people like this, he listens to this music. All right, he don't seem that much of a threat. Like, I can be a little open and forthcoming with this person. Or I'll be like, wait a minute, you listen to who? You talk about what? You hang where? You hang what geographic location you be at? Oh hell no! Like yeah nah I'm gone. You know I'm about to go elsewhere. I'm going back home. I don't need I'm good. I don't need no company because like bitch my
I need
life is on the
to
line. Like I gotta be able to be like I know some people might say I'm judging to a certain extent, but usually I'll be on point. You know and that shit keeps me safe to understand your identity and how your politics might interact with my politics, and rather the outcome would be good or bad based off of our interaction. Like, no, I just can't be.
I
I
always
ain't
say,
privileged like
I
that.
always say that white people have no credibility. They have no
Hmm.
credibility, and they cannot be
Historically,
upset when it cannot be upset when non-whites, with melanated folks, are skeptical of them at every twist and turn. They have no
exactly.
credibility
Because like when you think
because of
about it,
history.
they've been wrong about race. They've been wrong about the world. They've been like there's not too much in history that you could look. You could look in their history and notice they've been wrong about everything. Even their hierarchical social structures, their concepts on gender, their concepts on genetics, their concepts on the one fucking animal kingdom. They've been consistently, and our ancestors has been right. Like even with the erased history, they still our ancestors still be right, and it's like it's very phenomenal because you read some of the ancestors' work and you look into some of the elders like actions and you like holy shit like all of this time I knew the answer. It's almost like what people say about difficulty in video games, like how like new information is revealed to you and you realize that there's a way that you can play the game that it literally changes the way that you like play the game and interact with the entire systems. Like to me that's kind of how life is. I know it's kind of cliche for me to make this nerdy of a reference, but to me like everything's intersectional, nothing's abstract for me. So like it's not hard for me to take the understanding of code in the 01 and apply that to like how Nigerians and like a lot of West African people use the same binary system for things that they engage with. So to me the way I look at it is like as we say, like black people made it all. We been there. Like ain't nothing new under the sun. You know what I mean? Like to me the world is not
Mhm.
abstract. Like I see how things are connected. Like I know I might be stereotypical for being on that word spooky spiritual shit, but I play into the birth charts and shit. Like you know what I mean? Like I know like because it just be a little it be hitting a little too hard. Like the ancestors be hitting a little too hard for me to be dismissive of their presence. Like that's why like me being schizophrenic, bitch. I don't take that as a negative. Like to me that's a positive. That's why I don't actively seek treatment because to me like it's not like I got somebody back there yelling die, die, murder, murder, kill, kill, some weird shit like that. Like no, like it just usually is a suggestion. Usually it's something that's guided me, and I haven't been wrong. Like I have lived after there's some serious crazy shit that happened in my life that I lived because like bitch the ancestors was smoking and I listen. Like Harriet Tubman, when Harriet Tubman talks about how she heard God and people call her Moses. Like to me, like I know people might talk shit about us having mental illness, but having a mental illness is not that big of a. It's not that. I mean, I don't know. Like I don't take it
No,
as if
no,
it's a.
actually, I 100% agree with you because I'm in the same situation too, where like I have fucking like I've had dreams and shit and like
Mm-hmm,
thoughts pop into my head that are like fucking okay, like as an example, I had a dream once where one of my friends was like executed by a cop, right? I
mm-hmm.
had literally the dream was shot dead and then the cop ran away and like shot other people. Within 24 hours of me having that dream, Kyle Rittenhouse happened.
Yeah, that it be like that though, cause like it be like that, cause it's like you get this feeling, and it's like to me, like I know to some people it might seem strange and out there. That's why I say I'm very Afrocentric, right? Cause like I don't care if you think I'm crazy, but to me, I feel like the universe is that interconnected. This is why I believe in animism and whatnot, cause to me, nature is just not no abstract dead. Like that's not a dead rock. Like that dead rock was a part of something. It have went through a cycle and process that manifest that basically like that converted that matter from one one composition to the next. And I feel like the same is true for like, because like when you look at us historically speaking, we always been connected to the land. We always been connected to nature. Nature always spoken to us. This is why people say, "Oh, we're dealing with climate change and global warming." Maybe because the people who's running the world, their mentality is naturally disconnected from it. Like even the Christian atheist, the atheist Christian, because the way I say atheist Christian, because not all atheists come from Christianity or come from a Christian
Oh my god!
Eurocentric
You know what that
background.
reminds me of? I I got into like I really pissed off the white vegan Twitter the other day
Oh my
because
god, child, they
oh,
is a
it was really
mess.
funny.
They
It
really
was
be
really funny.
anti-black too. They be saying some of the worst shit. And it's
Um,
like, are you aware that we can't get that food? You know what I mean? But go ahead, what you saying though?
exactly. Like I literally pointed that shit out. I was like, there was a video where this person commented about how like white veganism literally like continues to promote like capitalist like fucking slavery, literal slavery of like indigenous Latino people in
Right,
like migrant workers and shit like that.
right.
And I was like, this is exactly why like I don't I was like, white vegans, you got no fucking credibility. like it's
Exactly,
just
they don't. Cause it's like the
and
way
they're
they
always
like.
like, oh, well, you have to be vegan for climate change, this and that. And it's just like, but you're the reason why we
Why the
have this problem in the first place.
Exactly. Like to me, it's weird where we got white people who want to save the world and save the animals, but y'all don't give a fuck about the governments that are running these environments. It's like maybe if you get the Eurocentric, white settler colonials out of the government, allow niggas to take back their land and shit, the land will probably finally breathe. Like let us bring our shrines back and our ancestors back to the land. Like we worship that shit. We make icons and idols out of specific because I think people forget because as an animist, I know a lot of this shit is regional. It's regional based. A lot of spirits and gods, like even like with us being like a mixture of Nigerian, Guyanan, and Congo and Angolan and Sierra Leone. Like, I know like with most like us as diasporans being an admixture of a lot of these West Africans, a lot of these spirits are like regional. So like even if we in a different region, like these spirits kind of shift names and shift identity slightly to adapt to the region that they're in currently, and that's even with the
And
mixture of
that's
Native American
also
spirits and
yeah, there you go.
deities.
That's a
You get
narrative
what
that a
I'm
lot of
saying?
indigenous Native American people go for as well. They're like,
Yeah,
Land
cause
back, land back, just give the land back.
Yeah, because it's
Climate
like
change will
like
solve
y'all are
itself.
fucking this land up, and this is our land, and usually like we preserve some land, like we understand how to because in the same way people would clean up a house, like we clean up our forests, we clean up our rivers, we clean up our lakes, we migrate around the land as animals do, because like there's a lot of people who before colonization who used to migrate with the animals, because you cannot like I don't think people understand what society and civilization. The problem is we create these sediments, and these sediments is permanent fixtures within the environment. That's what depreciates the land environment, because you're not like moving with the land, you're not breathing and excelling as the land is. So as a result, you're just stripping it of its foundational material and of its like I can't explain it, but it's easy. Like to me, it's just something I
No,
understand and know. Because like even if you look for example, like if you look at like places that have droughts on certain times, like you notice that like the animals migrate with the droughts, like definitely in Africa. Like when there's a drought in some parts of Africa and the animals go to that part where the water at, then the land builds itself up again, and then once that place started going into a drought, they go to another part. It's like an inhale and an exhale. Like you can't be unbalanced. You just can't we're gonna exploit, take out. Like even with the pandemic, like think about it. Like to me, not to justify this shit, but to me, like this pandemic is proof on how like us as a society just might need to take a year or two off from doing production and shit like that. Like we just need to give the planet 2-3 years of no production, no pollution, no and just coast, just produce as much as we can and just let that shit coast for a couple of years. Like to me, if I had power, bitch, I would mandate some shit like that. Like, all right, we're gonna stock up, we're gonna save, we're gonna produce what we can, and then coast, and then let everything run on autopilot that doesn't cause too much damage or pollution to said environment. And then once the 2-3 years up, we're gonna do it again. You know what I mean? But like the way capitalism is set up, it's very abstract. That's why like it's criticism of Christianity and whatnot. Because even with Christian thought, it kind of teaches you that you're disconnected from the land, and like it kind of reinforces this methodology that like you can take, and it's weird because capitalism is an idea that you can take with no limits, but the land is limited in how many resources and whatnot I have. Now, don't get me wrong, like that limit is very high, but to us who live here, it's like it's not really all that high because like at the rate y'all like burning through shit for like the 5-10 motherfuckers of y'all at the top and the little bit of middle class that can access that shit, it's like
especially like how rich people and middle class people and hell people who live in first world countries, we are so like wasteful. We're so wasteful.
It's blatantly wasteful.
We eat, and then throw out.
Because even with me being somebody who like worked in food service, like I worked in food service, and like we literally like I literally see them make whole meals, like things full of like, you know, because I worked at Wegmans and shit. So like I see them make things of sides and big ass platters with protein and different vegetables and different, you know, very specific sides and, you know, like in entrees, and then after a certain time they throw all that shit out, just all of it hits the trash, all of it. So it's like it's just there to be on display. So it's like the criticism that we say about our server, like how our server is. We just got shit just to be there so people can get access to it if they want it as an option. And I think that's part of the reason like what's wrong with our system is that like our system have things set up that everything got to be on display as an option just for you to have access to it whenever you want. This is like the problem with capitalism as well, because it's like, yeah, you know, like I just want, if I feel like I want to wake up and get a soda, bitch, I better go down there and it better be a soda and I better get access to it, versus like, okay, well, there ain't no soda, fuck it, let me drink some tap water, let me get some tap water out the freezer, you know what I mean? Like I just,
oh yeah, that reminds me of how Bad Empanada talked about like Cuba and communism in Cuba, and how he was getting mad at all these people who were like shitting on Cuba, and I was like, oh, what about food shortages and this and that, and he was like, no, Cuba, everyone has food to eat. Might not be the food that they want to eat, but it's food to eat.
Exactly, because like it don't do too much. It like in a way like it's kind of accommodating for the environment, and it don't make too much of a demand, because it like people don't really understand, like that's the product of capitalism, is an overbearing demand. And this is how you get understaffed kitchens, where, you know, there's a lot of people making demands for all this food, and then, you know, motherfuckers get angry at you because it's like, well, my Chick-fil-A said my fish. That's why I say, like, that's why I be telling Scorpio, like, to me, I feel like preference is a problem. Like, I feel like we should abolish preference. Why? Because if you to me, preference, it comes with implication as if like it ain't like it's an allergy. Like you ain't allergic to the shit. The shit ain't gonna kill you if you consume it. So like, why you so averse to trying it? You know what I mean? Like if I was put on a fucking, like, that's like saying, for example, like you're a meat eater, you love eating meat and meat alone. You get put on an island with a bunch of fucking fruits and vegetables, and you can't fish. Like, let's just put it like this: you ain't got no fishing skills. You don't know how to put a rod together. You don't know how to put a net together, right? Like in this hypothetical, you on an island with fruits and vegetables freely available, but you only like eating meat. You mean to tell me you're gonna starve yourself out just because you ain't gonna take a couple coconuts and bananas and, you know, guavas? You ain't gonna eat a couple mangoes. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna eat none of the berries, none of them berries that's on there. You ain't gonna eat none of them vegetables that's just sitting out in the open, glazed in the sunlight. Like, you mean to tell me you're gonna starve on that island just because there's no protein, because there's no like meat in protein? You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's very weird. That's why I don't believe in preference.
Or because they think bugs are gross, so they don't want to eat that kind of protein.
I'm glad you said that, because, like, you know how many insects there is in the world? Nah, because the way white capitalism is set up, like, they probably extinct some bugs as well. They would probably breed a certain number of bugs to extinction, or, like, breed them into extinction, like the way they do dogs. And, oh, my God. It's just so terrible. That's why, like, I don't understand why people are so openly
talking about dogs. So when I upset the white vegan Twitter, I made a tweet about how, like, whenever I hear a white vegan tell me to go vegan to quote unquote like save the environment or save the animals or some shit, I always double check and see if they have like a purebred dog. and be like,
Exactly. I knew you was going that way. That's why I was trying to hold on. Cause you be like, and it be like that when people be talking shit. Cause that's what we do. We see people talk shit or whatever, and then we just see what's publicly available. We like, but you talking shit. But like, look at what you're doing though. That's why like me, I try not to talk too much shit, and I hate the fact that I'm in this position where I'm constantly shit talking motherfuckers. Cause it's like I'm not a perfect person, but like I don't be out here like, oh yeah, I'm the better. I'm the best. I know what. No, it's like no, but like when it comes to Eurocentricity, then yeah, I know you're wrong. Like I'm not even about to sit there and act like these are ideas that could be contested. And I think that's what throw the Eurocentric left off so much is that like they're encountering like like black people and other non-white people who are just like you're wrong. I don't give a fuck. There's no debate. You're wrong. Like you know what I mean? And that's kind of what's going on with Kunta J is that like we encounter Kunta J and like he's trying to play it as if there's a nuance to this and it's like no, the nuance is you're wrong. Like and definitely when you're not really investigating to see what we're saying, to see our claims, and to make it worse is that we're showing evidence, we're showing videos, we're showing tapes, we're giving
the nuance is that he missed the nuance.
Exactly. He literally missed it. And then now you got like a legion of majority white audience, your majority white followers, and people who engage with your platforms, all like raining down on us. So now we got to break off ties with a lot of people who we were engaged with. But to me, it's a good thing. I'm glad. Like even in the end, when people changed their minds, realized they was in the wrong, I'm not following nobody, and no, I'm not unblocking none of you motherfuckers. And the reason why is because y'all were taking up space for the black cosplayers, the black content creators that I was originally following before I ran into this space. It's funny when I blocked all of y'all. I'm gonna keep saying this. Like I blocked all of them, and before you know it, I see art, cosplay. I'm seeing the sex workers come back on my feed again. I'm like, this is where y'all been at. Y'all been hidden behind all of this white argument, like y'all, and like I feel like a lot of people in this space don't understand. The reason why y'all keep arguing with these white people is because y'all proximity to whiteness is a little too close. The amount of white people that are following y'all and y'all liking and retweeting put y'all in proximity to argue with these people because these white people
on my
have.
Twitter, I just stopped engaging, right? I just stopped fucking whatever. I On my Twitter, I do not follow. Like if I know you personally, I'll follow you, right? If I
Right.
work with you, I'll follow you.
Right.
But if you look at my follows, no, barely any white people in my follows. Barely any white people in my
Exactly.
follows.
Because like
I'm sick of their
I think
shit.
a lot of them forget that like when you got like racist uncles and racist cousins and you got a large like right wing following out here that be scouring the internet and you got a large white following that puts you close in proxy because the white right wing the white right wing, I know that was a tongue twister for me, right? The white right wing, they're very close in proximity to the white left, and they share a lot of intersectionality because this is a fascist country.
Yeah, it's
So the
because of that
Overton,
whiteness. It's that white solidarity. I always use the word white
exactly.
solidarity because that's what it. Because at the end of the day, like I
I'm
made this
still in your
statement
word.
a
I ain't
long
still
time.
in it, but I'm gonna use that word as well to like better like explain fucking.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when I
I
say
always made this
Eurocentric, people
statement.
don't understand me sometimes. What was you saying now? Hello, is Discord acting funny again? Can you hear me now? What the fuck happened to Scorpio? Oh my god, it's hot as fucking wolf pussy in this motherfucker. It's hot as balls in this motherfucker. My tits all sweating and shit. I can't take this shit. Where you at? Scorpio, you still there? Or did you head out? What the hell's going on? Alright, nobody serving me or no weird shit like that. Well, like, hold on, let me play these videos for you. I'm gonna play these videos for y'all so y'all can get a little perspective on what was happening. Boom. so let me pick this up. Right? Who owns R? O-U-R. For those who don't know what I'm sorry I have to be this condescending, but let's keep it real. What does R pertains to between two black people? Can someone tell me? What does it mean when two black people are talking and someone say, who owns the music in entertainment historically when it comes to our shit? Right? Nah, but you know what? You know what Kunta J said? Just owns the media. Like, you're lacking the nuance. And you unironically post the post that shows that you literally framed him wrong. But guess how many people did not catch on to this? Guess how many people? 4,450, 36 quote tweets, 421 retweets, 208 likes. Right? Who owns... Alright, so that's the first video, right? And see, this is the second video. This is what happens when you don't watch an 8-hour stream and the summary video and you don't want to talk. This is literally what he said, right? I got y'all. But I wonder why Kunta J didn't quote tweet this. Like, can y'all tell me why? Cause somebody in the audience, like, can I get like I right? Literally, this is literally what he said, right? But I wonder why Kunta J didn't quote tweet this. Like, can y'all tell me why? Cause somebody in the audience, like, can I get like do I gotta play Janet Jackson? Can I get some feedback? Like, can y'all tell me why Kunta J didn't quote tweet this? Oh, maybe because if Kunta J would have quote tweet a statement like this, it would be indefensible. But you know what Kunta J quote tweeted? This. And you know what this became? That. Is this anti-blackness, y'all? Yes. Yes, it's anti-blackness. So if you're on this side with Kunta J, you're part of the problem, right? This is why Scorpio's telling anti-ICE. Like, oh, ICE, right? Literally, right. This is literally... That should be everything, right? That should be...
I'm sorry. Is there anything that I can do to make you feel better?
No, you could never make me feel better.
I'm sorry.
You're just a fighter and you want to fight. And I'm not the man who wants to fight.
I'm sorry, sweetie. Everything was okay and perfect.
I'm just telling you, you told me you were going to remove it. So Dennis, the second Dennis who looked at me, made that comment.
You have the key?
Yes.
Okay, right now. Do you see parking for me? Is someone leaving? Just turn it on for me, Lucy. Yes. I'm sorry, honey. Can I get you a little bit more juice? I don't want to fight with you.
Of course you do. You love to fight.
I don't fight.
That's all you do. You fight with everybody.
I'm sorry to feel that way, honey. I don't know how this conversation even came about. You were telling me how people called you and how they mentioned certain things to you and how it bothers you.
Can't you say the few Instagrams I won't? I'll just...
Here you go, honey. A little bit of juice, baby. A little bit of juice for you, honey.
Thank you, Eddie.
Honey, if it makes you happy, I will remove all of the black people from my Instagram.
You said that before. You said, I understand.
I did remove the people that were independently on my Instagram that are black.
Then why did you start saying that you didn't? You just said you didn't remove them. You didn't remove them.
I didn't move Matt Kemp and Magic Johnson.
Why?
But I thought Matt Kemp is mixed, and he was okay, just like me.
Okay.
He's lighter and whiter than me. I met his mother.
You think I'm a racist? And
I don't think you're a racist.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I think you...
Evil heart.
I don't think so. I think you have an amazing heart, honey. I think the people around you have poisoned mind and have a way of thinking.
It's the world. You go to Israel, the blacks are just treated like dogs.
So do you have to treat them like that too?
The white Jews, there's white Jews or black Jews. Do you understand?
And are the black Jews less than the white Jews?
100%, 50, 100%.
And is that right?
It is the question. We don't evaluate what's right and wrong. We live in a society. We live in a culture. We have to live within that culture.
But shouldn't we take a stand for what's wrong and be the change and the difference?
I don't want to change the culture because I can't. It's too big.
But you can
powerful.
change yourself.
I don't want to change. If my girl can't do what I want, I don't want the girl. I'll find a girl that will do what I want. Believe me. I thought you were that girl because I try to do what you want. But you're not that girl.
There's no need to get upset. No need to get...
I just see what I'm living with, what I'm dealing with.
I'm sorry, I didn't do anything.
You know, you never do anything and never anything wrong.
But I didn't do anything.
You upset me.
I upset
me crazy.
you. Made yourself upset.
No, that's not true. You didn't start off by saying, honey, I understand we're living in a culture. We can't.
Because I don't see your views. I wasn't raised the way you were raised.
Well, then, if you don't feel, don't come to my games. Don't bring black people and don't come.
Do you know that you have a whole team that's black that plays for you?
Do I know? I support them and give them food and clothes and cars and houses. Who gives it to them? Does someone else give it to them? Do I know that I have? Who makes the game? Do I make the game or do they make the game? Is there 30 owners that created the league?
I'm not going to bring any black people to the stadium.
Well, is it easy to say that?
It's very easy for you to say that.
For you to say that?
I won't say that to anyone. I would never ask anyone not to bring someone based on race or color.
Okay.
Or culture.
Okay.
It's like saying, let's just persecute and kill all of the Jews.
Oh, it's the same thing, right?
Well, isn't it wrong? Wasn't it wrong then? With the Holocaust? And you're Jewish. You understand discrimination?
You're really a mental case. The Holocaust we're comparing with...
Racism. Discrimination.
There's no racism here. If you don't want to be walking into a basketball game with a certain person, is that racist?
Oh shit, what happened? Alright, well, I guess that was the end of our conversation. Discord done shut her down as well. Damn. I ain't guess I ain't the only one with internet troubles, you know. Shit. For all we know, it could be Kunta J. You know, King Kunta J targeting other people too as well. No, let me stop. But yeah, you know, I'm about to head the hell on out of here and call it a motherfucking night. Enjoy your day, hydrate, wear a mask, you know, all that good stuff. Take care of your loved ones, and good night.
I always had hopes of being a big star. Then I look, as you get older, you aim a little lower. And I just say, well, yeah, you still might make an impression. Everybody wants to leave something behind them, some impression, some mark upon the world. Then you think you left a mark on the world if you just get through it. And a few people remember your name. Then you left a mark. You don't have to bend the whole world. I think it's better to just enjoy it. Pay your dues and enjoy it. If you shoot an arrow and it goes real high, hooray for you.